The wine hit my eyes first, cold, acidic. A red veil sliding down my face, dripping from my lashes, staining my shirt like a verdict already decided. Laughter followed, sharp, careless. My wife's sister clapped once, delighted. "Thanks, Dad. Maybe that'll teach him some respect." The word pig landed last. Soft, practiced. I didn't wipe my face. My hands tightened around the chair. Wood creaked. My pulse stayed slow, obedient. I counted my breaths the way I learned to. Inhale, hold, release, while the table waited for me to break. This was their house, their rules, their holiday. I stood. No speech, no threat. I took my phone from my pocket, thumb already moving, muscle memory older than this marriage. The call connected on the first ring. "Yes," I said quietly, "it's time." I ended it before anyone could ask who I was talking to. Their smiles held. They thought this was a tantrum, a bluff, a husband put in his place. I tasted wine and something metallic beneath it. I smiled back. They had no idea who they were dealing with. The betrayal didn't start tonight. Tonight was just a ceremony. It began weeks earlier with a message that wasn't meant for me, a name I didn't recognize lighting up my wife's phone, a picture she deleted too fast, her laughter suddenly guarded. I told myself it was stress, holidays, family pressure. Her father's contempt had always been casual, inherited. I had learned to live small around it, but lies changed the air. I noticed how she angled her phone away from me, how she showered longer, how she flinched when I touched her shoulder from behind, like my hands belonged to someone else. At dinner tables, she defended them, not me. I replayed moments like surveillance footage, paused, zoomed in. Her sister's smirk when she mocked my job, her father's obsession with lineage, bloodlines, men who earn their place. Once, in the dark, half asleep, my wife whispered a name that wasn't mine. She didn't wake when I sat up. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, feeling the first clean cut inside my chest. No pain yet, just separation. I didn't ask questions. Questions warn people. I became careful. I learned the weight of her phone in my hand, the rhythm of her passcode when she thought I was asleep. I memorized call logs, patterns, lunches that ran long, yoga that smelled like cologne. I hired a private lab before I hired a detective. Old habits. Verify before you pursue. The test kit arrived in an unmarked envelope, clinical, impersonal. I followed the instructions like a ritual, hands steady, heart absent. I sent it back the same day. While we waited, I watched. Her father's fixation sharpened, comments about real men, jokes about inheritance. Her sister's laughter grew louder when I entered rooms. They knew something I didn't, or thought I didn't. The detective confirmed the rest. Hotel receipts, photos taken from across the street, my wife's smile, open, unafraid, in the arms of a man I recognized, her father's business partner. The past aligned itself neatly then, the sudden generosity, the way doors opened for her sister, the way I was always seated at the end of the table. I stayed calm. I poured wine. I nodded. I smiled when told to smile. The lab results arrived on New Year's Eve, an hour before dinner. I read them once, then again. Probability, 0. I folded the paper, slipped it into my jacket, and drove to their house. After the laughter faded, after the servants cleaned the mess from the floor, and not my face, I asked my wife to step into the study. She followed, confused, annoyed. I closed the door. I placed the paper on the desk between us. "Read," I said. She did. Her hands began to shake before her eyes finished the page. "No," she whispered. I watched her carefully, the way guilt rearranges a face, the way the body prepares to run while the mind pretends. "Who else knows?" I asked. She sank into the chair. "My father. He thought it was best, for everyone." I nodded. The child we had buried together, the grief I carried alone, the comfort she found elsewhere. I felt nothing, just alignment. I slid my phone across the desk. Photos bloomed on the screen, time-stamped, labeled. Her breath broke. I didn't raise my voice. "I already called," I said. We returned to the table together. They were waiting, smug, victorious. I lifted my glass. Red wine, same vintage. "I want to thank you," I said, "for tonight." Confusion rippled. I've always admired efficiency, I continued, and honesty. I placed copies on the table, lab report, photos, contracts my call had uncovered, silent transfers, falsified records, a paternity clause in a partnership agreement. Her father's face drained first, then her sister's laughter choked into silence. I turned to him. "You threw wine at me," I said, "because you thought I was weak." I slid one last document forward, a notice of investigation. Regulatory, immediate. I don't throw things, I added. I remove them. Chairs scraped, voices rose. I walked to the door. No one followed. Outside, the air was clean, cold, honest. I stood there long enough for the noise inside to fade into something distant and unimportant. The city counted down somewhere far away. I felt lighter without understanding why. Power isn't loud. It doesn't need witnesses. It just needs timing. I drove away before midnight. Somewhere behind me, truths collapsed under their own weight. Names lost value. Bloodlines meant nothing. I didn't look back. I had already left them long before the wine dried on my skin.